Okay, so when we discuss quadrantal angles, one of the things that I highlighted for you and I expressed to you was that r is always equal to 1, right? So if that's the case, then r is equal to 1, and they're giving you cosine theta for this example. Okay, so here, or excuse me, cosine pi, where if it's cosine, I know that this is x, this is y, right? This is the P point. And so if that's the case, then I also know that this is negative 1 comma 0. So I have x, I have y, I have r. And now I just have to recall my ratio, which sine of theta is going to be y over r. Cosine of theta, that's going to be x over r. So if I put x over r, that's going to be negative 1 over 1, which is simply negative 1, hence my answer B. How easy was that? Okay, and you repeat the same process for the next one. I'll change the color so I don't have to redraw. So for the next one, you have the cosine of 3 pi over 2, which we know is sitting over here. Well, if that's the case, then this is the point, and this is the point 0, negative 1, so I have x, I have y, and I have r equal to 1. If it is cotan, my ratio, well, first of all, tan we know is y over x, so therefore cotan is x over y. If that's x over y, then I have 0 over negative 1, which in this case should be answer choice B. Let me erase that so you can see the answer. Okay, now, this is simply identifying the angle or the quadrant in which the angle resides. So if I were to draw the coordinate plane and remind you of all students or a smart trig class or all students take calculus. So in this case, they're telling me that the secant is negative. That's what this indicates. This is negative. And the tan is also a negative. So I know that tan is negative in these two quadrants. Now, the question is which one? Secant is the opposite of cosine, but cosine is positive here, so this has to be the quadrant. This would have to be answer choice for 36. It should be answer choice D. D for dog. Oh my gosh, I meant quadrant, this quadrant, my apologies, quadrant 2, B. B as in boy, my apologies. Because remember, all three are positive here. Here, sine is positive, but cosine and tan are both negative. So are their inverses. Since they're giving me secant, I'm dealing with cosine being negative, so secant is also negative. Okay. Next question. It says find the exact value given the cosine theta is 2 over 5 and tan is negative. Okay, so we have to go and apply this again. And so for this one, I know that, let's see here, this would become, okay, so let's draw the quadrant. Cosine theta is 2/5. It's positive, so cosine is positive, tan is negative, so potentially, actually this would have to be in the fourth quadrant. So if I find r, actually I have r is 5. Remember the ratio for cosine. The ratio for cosine is x over r. So I have x is 2 and r is 5. So if I work this out, obviously this will be 21 negative in this quadrant. This has to be. Again, I don't know why. I don't know why. I do know x and I do know r. So I have to find what y equals, and I know that y equals the square root of 25 minus 4, which gives me the square root 21, but we're in this quadrant. And since that's the case, then this has to be a negative. Alright, and you follow the same logic here. This is redundant. If you would like, I mean, I could do a couple more, or you can come see me during office hours, but this is a lot of the same stuff. And they're even giving you the quadrant, so you just have to find it. Okay, for the reference angle, when we talk about reference angles, we are referring to values that relate to the 180 degrees, right? They have to be on the x-axis. So I don't care where the angle terminates. What I'm focused on is the reference angle being the angle that it relates to on the x-axis. So in this case, you're looking at negative 418. So if I have negative 418 and I do one full rotation, I am left with, let's see, this is 8. This will be actually 58 degrees. So, and in this case, I want, it should be a positive, right? And so, there you are. Not even a positive, it just relates right back to the x-axis. So, and again, think about it. You're going negative 360, right? So here you're at negative 360. And because of that, you're going to need 58 degrees more to complete that rotation. So this angle in here is approximately 58 degrees, and it refers back to its x-axis, which is the rotation, the reference angle. All right, next question, 46. So for 46, you have, oh, this is actually a no-brainer because it's in the first quadrant. So since you're going to go down 13.2 degrees, the reference angle is simply 13.2 degrees. Always remember, the reference angle is always a positive. So when you think reference angle, always think positive only when you're done with the answer. Okay? Alright. Now let me do a radian example. So for this one, as the one example, so 47. If you think about this fraction, it's 1 1/4, isn't it? What's left over? If you notice, the 1/4 is what's left over. So in essence, that's your answer. And for 48, it's no different. This is 4/3, which is the same as 1 1/3. Again, what's your remainder? 1/3. So pi/3. Alright, I'm going to do a couple more on this, and then I'm going to go to the next one. Alright, so we have cosecant 660 degrees, and we want to find the value. So if we take 660 degrees, and we take away 360, that leaves us with 300 degrees. Okay, so if we look at this in terms of the rotation, 300 degrees puts me about here, leaving me a 60 degree angle here. So I, in essence, have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I'm looking at cosecant. I know that sine is y/r. Cosecant in this case is r/y. And we know that this is 1, 2, square root 3. The square root 3 is over here on the y. So that means that this is 2 over square root of 3, but I have to rationalize that. So this becomes 2 square root of 3 over 3 by default, and that should be answer choice D as in dog for number 49. So that should be this one here. Alright, and same thing for all of these. I'll do one with the radian. If I have tan of, and remember, tan as a ratio is y/x. So since we're asking for tan, I have to wonder how many times is 6 go into 91. And so 91 divided by 6 is approximately, it goes in approximately 15 times. So 15 times 6 is 96. What? No. I did the wrong. 15 times 6 is 90. So there is a remainder of 1/6 pi, which is pi over 6. So if I transform this, and this is how I would do it, I mean, you do it however it makes you happy. The pi's cancel, 6 goes into 180 30 times, or 30 degrees. So what I really have here is tan of 30 degrees, and so if I think of this in terms of this being 30, this is 90, this is 60, again, this is 2, this is square root of 3, this is 1, and tan of 30 degrees, which is over here, opposite over adjacent, so 1 over square root of 3, but we don't like that. So we have to transform this by multiplying square root of 3 over itself, and then we multiply, we find that this is actually d. This results in square root of 3 over 3. There's your answer choice. The negative is no different than the negative. You're simply saying if this is cotan, the ratio for cotan is x over y. So in this case, we're going to either transform this, which you can do, or divide 6 into 53. We know 6 times 9 is 54, so this has to be 8. Let's see. Use the trusty calculator. So we have 53 divided by 6. Yeah, so it goes in a rotation of 8 times. And so what's 53 minus 8? Let's see here, 53 minus 8. That gives you 45. Okay, and then I'm sorry, so I'm not thinking straight. So 53, as you can tell, this is late in the afternoon and I'm done. It's done, son. Okay, so again, 53 goes is divided by 6 and it goes in 8 times. Okay, and then sorry for that, my dogs. Let me stop here for this one and I'll come back to it.